Well, let's dive into today's topic. And today I actually have two great friends with me. First of all, Curtis Marshall from Dental and Tel. Hey, Curtis, how are you?
Good, Gary. Thanks for having me on today. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Now, Curtis and I have known each other for a long time, and he's one of my favorite people on the planet. And I am so thrilled that he could join us today. He's got some great insights to share with you that are going to make this really worth your time to listening to. And we also have my friend Naren Alraja. You recognize Naren's voice because he's my co-host in this Thriving Dental podcast. But Naren's going to join us, and we're going to do a little bit of a recap of a live event. We did a live event back at the end of February, and we wanted to, it was such a successful event that we wanted to do a little live recap for you for those of you that weren't able to attend. So that's what we're doing today. And the event was titled "Secrets to Thriving in 2024 and Beyond." And it was broken down into three different segments. I was a speaker, and we had Naren speaking on marketing, and we had Steve speaking from Dental and Tel. My topic was 5 specific strategies to make 2024 your best year yet. And I'm going to share some of the highlights of what I shared. Curtis is going to talk about some things he's learned from top Dental and Tel clients, and share with you kind of the secret hacks, some things that they've learned to use data to massively improve their practice. Is that a fair way to summarize that, Curtis, that your clients are using data as a way to significantly drive and improve their practice? Those are my words, not yours, but would you say that's a good way to describe that?
Well, we know that when performance is measured, performance improves, right? Even if that's very simple. It's a law. And absolutely, we're seeing that. And one thing that's pretty cool is with all the dental offices that we do have on our software, I'm able to see the top performers and what they're doing. And that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. So absolutely, Gary, you are accurate.
Now, just for trivia, Curtis, that quote, things that are measured improve,
Yeah.
um, I have an attribution for that. But I think you may know where that originally came from. Would you be kind enough to share where you think that quote came from?
Well, let's see here. When performance is measured for, I don't know. It's a little dark, like night, like the night, feel night, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it came from, you're right, it came from Bill Bowerman and Phil
Oh, it was
Knight.
Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a University of Oregon graduate. I'm a proud duck. And Bill Bowerman was a track coach at Oregon. And one of his star athletes was Phil Knight. And together, back in the early 1950s, Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight created what today we know as Nike. And it was Bill Bowerman who I attribute that quote to. And Bill may have picked it up from someone else, and if he was live, he would correct me and tell me where he got it from. But Bill famously said, "When the things that are measured improve," and he added an addendum to that. The addendum was, and when the results are reported back, the improvement can be geometric.
Yep.
So think about that. And I think that is an example of what your power users of Dental and Tel are experiencing, because they're getting the entire team around this information.
Absolutely. And I'd like a very simple way of looking at it is, hey, if I jump on a scale, right? If I'm jumping on the scale every day, I know what I'm eating. I can fix that. But as soon as I start reporting my weight to a coach or
Accountability partner, maybe?
accountability, anybody, all of a sudden now I'm going to do better. I mean, that's the simplest and easiest way to understand it, but it's a law, Gary. And it happens not just with your weight, not just with your dental practice. It happens in every aspect of your life, which is why even when with your spouse reporting what's going on, you become better because you're working together as a team. But
Yeah. And it's continuous growth, continuous improvement, simply wanting to be better tomorrow than we are today.
Yep.
I think that's
Human.
an axiom that applies very well to our listeners of Thriving Dentist Show. Curtis, we have listeners in 188 countries. And yeah, it blows me away to think that 188 countries. And I think a common denominator is every doctor or team member or anyone in dentistry that's listening to this embraces the concept of being better tomorrow than they are today. That'll be another theme that we weave into this discussion today. And my second guest is Naren. And Naren, you're going to talk a little bit about the buyer's journey. Now, that may be a phrase that a lot of our listeners are hearing for the first time, dental buyer's journey. Give us a little summary of what that means. What is it? What does dental buyer's journey mean? And why is it important to be thinking about that?
Yeah, I'll answer your second question first, Gary, which is why is it important to be thinking about dental buyer's journey? This is something I picked up from Stephen Covey, who I never met, but he has been my lifelong mentor because I read his book, 7 Habits, when I was, I think, 17 or 18. And he said something that made a huge impact on my life. He said, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. And he called it paradigms, right? So if you have the wrong paradigm, doesn't matter how hard you try, you're going to get lost. A simple way to explain it is you are in New York, you have a map of Chicago, and you're trying to navigate New York with a map of Chicago. Doesn't matter how hard you try, you are going to get lost. So most of us don't sit and think about the paradigms, right? The way we look at things. And so the dental buyer's journey is really looking at how do people in 2024 go about finding and choosing a dentist? Because if you don't understand that, what are you optimizing for? Remember, you are not the one paying the bills. You are not your customer. It's somebody else. So how do they see you? How do they find you? How do they select you? So that is, in a nutshell, what the dental buyer's journey is. And in 2024, for 90% of the people, the step one is they start researching. Where do they go to research? They go to Google. We use Google 8.5 billion times a day. Sometimes they're researching to learn about the topic. So they don't know much about, let's say, TMJ. They might be trying to learn what TMJ is, how does it happen? What are the solutions? Or they might be trying to research about the providers, somebody who can help them. So it's kind of mixed together. So usually they're trying to learn about something that they think will solve their problem, but at the same time, they're trying to learn about somebody who can help them solve their problem. So that's where it starts. 90% of patients today start their journey of discovering a new dentist or a new specialist on Google. So that's step number one. Step number two is, okay, fine, I've discovered the dentist. Now, Google doesn't show me just one person, but it shows me 10, 15, 20, hundreds of people, right? I mean, literally, you can keep scrolling down and see tons and tons of results. Who is the one who's going to get my phone call, right? So that's the second step. So when they click on that link, they go to that landing page, am I motivated enough or am I influenced enough to pick up the phone and call this particular office or not? So how do you set up your page so they are motivated to call you versus your competition? So in a nutshell, the minute you understand that, now you can start figuring out how do I win in step one and how do I win in step two?
I like the way you take what is a very complex topic, Naren, dental marketing, and distill it down into very actionable steps that any dentist can do.